Thank you so much for all being here. A couple of preliminary comments for all of you, and we're going to have Dr. Mason hand out just the sample ballots for all of you folks. This is an at-large election. We just wanted to emphasize that. It's an at-large election. A few quick comments here. Voter eligibility, municipal elections. Only registered voters who reside within the limits of a municipality are eligible to vote in that municipality's election. It is a crime for a person to knowingly vote in an election in which he or she is not eligible. Just wanted to make that noted. Just a few other little rules, courtesy for the voting day. No one may be within 50 feet of the ballot box other than the precinct officials and those waiting to vote. So that's within 50 feet, nobody allowed. When you have voted, please leave the polling place. No campaign signs, shirts, caps, or materials or talk may be within 300 feet of the polling place. And then one last item too, we do have the early voting that's made available for Woods County. It will be at the Woods County Election Board office on Thursday and Friday, March 30th and March 31st. And the times for that will be 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Thursday and Friday only. So March 30th and March 31st, early election voting. Municipal elections for those in the city limits of Alva. It's actually for those within the city limits of Alva, Winoka, and Freedom. ID will be required, of course, voter registration ID card or Oklahoma driver's license. And so with that, we will get started. Dr. Mason, I guess you're going to flip the coin. We have our candidates up here.
We're going to go in pairs, correct?
And they each get...
Thank you. You said one coin toss per... Okay. So...
And they'll each get 2 minutes to speak as well.
We'll also give Dr. Mason 2 minutes.
We'll give Dr. Mason 2 minutes to get started.
Okay. I'll start the clock on me till now.
It's decision 2017.
Call it here.
All right, I'm ready. All right, my name's Daniel Winters. Just want to do a quick introduction of myself and who I am for those that don't know me. I was a Gold Bug graduate of 2009 and went on to be a Ranger graduate of 2012. Met my beautiful wife, and we have 3 absolutely wonderful children. And I want to make sure that Alva continues to grow and prosper and be the great community that I came to love. We've made a lot of progress over the last couple of years, especially the council before I stepped on. In making city infrastructure improvements, we saw improvements to our streets, we saw improvements to the water infrastructure. And we have a lot of progress still in those areas to go, and I want to make sure to see that continues to happen. We've also put a significant investment into our rec center. We've seen 400 kids, I believe was the last number that we heard, that went out and signed up for soccer over this last year. It's been a huge asset to our community, and I think we should continue to support the rec center and continue with those infrastructure improvements that need to happen. 2 other major players in the city. We've got the university and the hospital, both of which are just huge economic layers to this community. And I think we need to continue to support them. We've seen that a vast majority of citizens through voting that do support those initiatives with the hospital and Northwestern. So, like I said, we've made a lot of progress, but we definitely do still have a lot of progress to go, and I want to continue to see us push forward, continue to be prosperous, fix some of the issues that we do have, to make sure that Alvis continues to be here for our children and our children's children for years to come. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim Bradley. I'm running for city council, obviously. You'll have to forgive me. It's been a really long time since I've actually had to speak in front of a large group of people. And this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I've lived in Alva a long time. My family and I moved here. I went to middle school here. I graduated high school here. I went on to the VOTEC to do some secondary education, specifically into computer repair and networking, with a focus on wireless networking and security. But I mean, even as a kid, I went to the public parks, I went to the public pool, I went to the public library, and I did all of those things because that's the kind of community that we have. I just want to make sure that the things that we get done on council kind of ensure that we have a transparent and efficient use of the budget. The money that we do spend, I'd like to kind of see what we achieve and what we get out of the money that we put into those things. I want to make sure that we're able to get the input of a community, not just through voting on things from a poll, but maybe the use of a public forum or some other means, whether it's a survey or even just, Facebook has become wildly popular for things like this, and that's just kind of how people want to communicate now. I really want to see an increased level of services for healthcare. My wife was pregnant last year. We had our first kid. We had to leave town for all of those appointments. We had to leave town when she delivered the baby. When he's sick, we go out of town. We had to see a specialist out of town. Every time we left town for any of these things, that's money that we took with us. We would eat out while we were there. Maybe we did our shopping while we were there. I just want to say thanks again for letting me come out and speak with you. If you want to meet with me after the meeting or you have other questions you don't want to ask at the meeting, I do have a website and a Facebook page, so feel free to reach out that way if you don't feel like asking a question in this environment or you don't have time after the meeting. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bo Hannaford, and I want to thank both groups for sponsoring this event. It's a pleasure to be back. I've spoke here before, and I always enjoy to come out and do that. I've been a member for the last 4 years on City Council, and it's been an honor to serve in that position. I've learned a lot in those last 4 years, and there's been some issues that have been talked about, but I would like to ask the voters to think about a couple things when they're thinking about casting their vote on April 4th. The first thing is when you make a decision, when a city council makes a decision, you need to vote for a person that's going to be able to work with several different people. You've got a city manager, a mayor, but also to get things done, you've got 7 other council members that you have to have good working relationships with to move forward like several of our other candidates have talked about. I'm proud of some of the accomplishments that we've been a part of. When I first got on, the transfer station was something that really, a lot of people didn't think we could get accomplished. It had been tried to be accomplished in the past and had not been, and we've done a good job. We were fiscally responsible with our money. We made cuts. We did work when we could do those, that type of work, and we got the transfer station completed and paid for already. So I think that's one important aspect when you're looking at your candidates. The second thing, and it was just talked about, listening and communicating with our members of our community. I'm very proud that I always take time, whether I get stopped at a restaurant, the movie theater. I've talked about city council matters, Walmart, church. It doesn't matter. I've always taken the time to speak to individuals that have concerns. And I also want to say, just to point out some examples, when I've had concerned community members talk to me and call me about our downtown area, our boulevard not looking the best that it can look. I've actually gone out and helped organize things to go up and clean up the boulevard. For 2 years, we went out and picked up trash on the boulevard, and I participated in that. Just recently, this past year, Mayor Parker and myself also did a project downtown that helped clean up our downtown, and only had about 18 volunteers, and about 5 of them were city council members. So those are the things that I ask that you consider when you're making your vote, and I would love to serve my community for 4 more years. Thank you very much.
All right, my name's Troy Brooks. I think I know a lot of you already. In the past 5 years, I've worked at the Brooks Agency as an owner and an agent. And previously to that, I was the city supervisor for about 10 years, and I'd already worked with the city prior to that, so I have quite a bit of experience working. I've worked with 4 different city managers, county commissioners, and probably most all the department heads that are already there at the city at this time. I was asked to come back in at one time by Steve Tarmerlin, and I came back to rebuild the ambulance service and restructure it and get it going again when it was having some issues in the past. And I did that for about 10 years when the average lifespan of an ambulance director was about 3.5 years, just due to stress and whatnot. Some of the things, I've already been inundated with questions and phone calls from people just because my name was on the ballot. So I'm already getting a lot of questions about what's going on, and I'll try to think of some things. One of my things is I will not vote for any rate increases. I would rather look for the money inside the city, cutting back on the budgets. If the our tax revenues are down, we used to be told to go through our budgets and cut our budgets back and cut back on the spending, because when the money was down, it was time to start cutting budgets. And from what I heard at the last city council meeting, revenues are down. I'd a lot rather do that than to drive more people out of town. One thing I get a lot of complaints about is our high tax rates, pushing people out into other markets. I'll try to think of some of the other things, the other issues people brought up. A lot of people would like to see recycling in our area, and I would like to see some private efforts brought into, not through the city necessarily, but if the city would repeal some of the regulations that keep people from hauling their own trash, bring recycling into the area. And that's about it. So, if you have any questions, I'm free to talk to you about any time. This is not the best format for me. So anyhow, thank you.
My name's Mary Hamilton. You can start it now. Well, no, not yet. Give me about 10 minutes, and then I'll let you go.
I don't know how to reset it. Go.
Oh, no, I'm going to get short now. My name is Mary Hamilton, and Randy and I moved back here in 1971 to attend Northwestern, and we've been here ever since. We've loved it. We enjoy Alva. We raised 3 kids here. All 3 were Alva Go Bugs, and all 3 were Northwestern Rangers, and I'm proud to announce that I now will have a granddaughter here next year who will be attending Northwestern as a basketball player. So we're excited about that. So while I was teaching, I worked for Alva Schools for about 40 years, and while I was teaching, one of the things that I really enjoyed doing was having the 8th graders run for student council. And every year they'd stand up there and they'd promise, I promise to get more recesses. I promise to get better food in the cafeteria. Right, Corey? Remember all these? The one I really liked was, I promise to get more dances, longer dances, with less lights on. These were the 8th graders. So, I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to promise anything. We can't do that. That's not what we are here to do. We're not standing here promising to do anything. But what I'll tell you is, I will work to help get our streets better. I will work to help get the hospital to increase with their health care facilities. I will work to help Northwestern. I will work in any area that people ask me to work in. I enjoy working. I don't mind working. I've worked for all my life. I don't mind working at all. I will promise you one thing. I promise that I'll live in Alva. I promise that I'll be in Alva 7 days a week. I promise that you'll be able to get a hold of me anytime you need to, because I'm here. If I'm not at home, I'm at the market. No, I told you, not fast. Okay? One of the things I want to talk about real fast is that the expenses of everything. We know that things are going up. We get it every day at the store. Prices go up. So if our suppliers go up, that means our costs have to go up. That means our prices will have to go up. Well, that's how it is in the city council too. We like to run our business in the black. The city council needs to be ran in the black. The city of Alva needs to be ran in the black. And to do that, we're going to have to make some adjustments and some things that some of us aren't going to like to do. But that's just part of government. That's part of working in a business, and keeping it working well. So, as my time is over, I just want to say thank you. I've enjoyed the last couple of months that I've been on the council. I've learned so much already, and I just ask that for the next 2 years to continue working for the city of Alva. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for inviting us out here. I keep running for office so I can get a free meal every 2 years. And I noticed that we're getting progressively older here. They made Mary and me run for the 2-year term. I wonder if they didn't think we'd survive a 4-year term.
Are you insinuating something?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. But she's a retired educator, and I'm an educator close to being retired. And I wasn't born and raised in Alva, but I got here as fast as I could. And I've been here 27 years at Northwestern, living in the same apartment. I was honored to be on the city council for 4 years, once upon a time, from 2009 to 2013. I'd like to go back on the council because I enjoyed doing it. Being involved, it sounds like a cliche, but you know, you want to give something back. Like I said, I wasn't born and raised here, but I've spent over half of my adult life here. And when I was on the city council, one thing that I did I was proud of was I never missed a meeting. And I've always thought if you want to make a difference, the first thing you got to do is show up. And so one of the things I'm going to promise is I'm going to do everything I can to be at all the meetings. And if I ever miss one, it'll be because something came up that I could not work around. I'd like to do whatever I could to, you know, make the city a better place. It's a good place already. But everybody talks about we need to fix the streets. We need to make sure we have some economic development. When I first got on the council, we were trying to scramble around and try to find something to do for economic development. Then we had the oil boom, and I don't think it's busted yet, but it's declining, and if it declines, we need to do something. One thing I've been advocating, and I need the Kiwanis, the Rotary Club, some civic organization to help with it. I'd like to bring a professional rodeo to Alva every year, and the university's getting a new arena, and one of the problems that we always had before was the indoor arena at the fairgrounds wasn't quite big enough, some people thought, to have a professional rodeo. But the college rodeo is the biggest economic weekend of any year in Alva, so I'd like to see us bring a professional rodeo. You do it 2 nights or 3 nights in a row. Waynoka, Hartner, Freedom, and Cherokee all have one. I'd like to see Alva have one. Thank you very much.
I'd like to know each candidate's present occupation.
Present occupation, I guess we'll go from Dr. Right here.
Tim Bradley, I work at Bank Central in the Financial Services Department. I'm the wireless operations manager, and I'm kind of the guy that give all the projects that they want to see physical objects created to accomplish some random thing that someone has come up with.
My name is Daniel Winters. I also work for Bank Central in the financial services. I work with the outside clients, go out and service them. We manage their networks and security systems, and I help assist in all of that.
Troy Brooks, I'm a card owner, agent, I work with the Brooks Agency.
Bo Hannaford, I'm Vice President for Academic Affairs at Northwestern Oklahoma State University.
What did I say? What did I say? Mary Hamilton. I am a retired educator from here in Alva. I still continue to sub for the Alva Public Schools. I work for Northwestern as a teacher evaluation person. I go out and evaluate student teachers. And I work full-time at Alva's Market.
And I'm Roger Hardaway. I'm a professor of history at Northwestern. I've been out there 27 years on the faculty. During that time, I've been a faculty senate president. I've been on the faculty senate 5 different times. One of the little things I enjoy doing that I think helps the community some, it's not a job, but it kind of is. And as Mr. Martin lets me write an article for the Alva Review-Courier every week. I've been doing that for a little over 6 years, and I consider that one of my contributions to Alva.
I'd kind of like to know what the candidates would like to see in the future for the city of Alva. I mean, they say, you know, prosper, blah, 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 but what specifically are they looking at trying to do to make Alva grow?
Would you like to address a specific candidate, or would you like to have one volunteer?
I'd like to hear all of them say something about it.
Okay.
Well, that's why I came up with this idea of professional rodeo. I think it's something we can do every year. That's something that would be beneficial. obviously, you know, you talk about things like the university, the hospital, fixing the streets, everybody was, you know, wants that stuff to be successful and to grow and expand. How do you do that when you got declining revenue? You know, that's gonna be a good question. But like I said, when I was on the city council before, just going to meetings, you would find out a lot more about what's going on than you're gonna find out if you're not on it. Because I haven't been on it for the last 4 years, and I don't know nearly as much about what's happening down there as I did when I was on it. So you find out, you know, how much money we have in the budget, what we can do, and what we cannot do. But I'm for anything that's gonna make it a, you know, a better place to live. And again, as I mentioned before, I think everybody pretty much agrees it's a good place to live already. It's got the small town atmosphere, and, you know, people know each other and get along well with each other. But that's why I think this idea of a rodeo one weekend a year is, as far as I'm concerned, I'm proud of coming up with that idea, and I think it would be something we can pull off. That could be done. That could benefit the city very much.
Just real quick, I want to clarify one. The university will not have a new rodeo arena next year. But we do have a authority that has been established that will try to bring that. I think that could be a big economic driver for us in the future. I think along with that, we've got some retail. We have some other businesses that I think if something like that popped up, we would have opportunities to bring some more retail into our community. In terms of streets and things like that, our next biggest project that we're going to have to work on is our water tank storage off of Young Street and Thunderbird. Just got a report that it's past due, and a Band-Aid itself to fix it's going to be almost $1 million. So that'll be the next infrastructure project that I think we have to look at. Thank you.
Being a business person, and having an accounting degree, my goal is to keep our budget in the black. And to do that, we're going to have to bring more economy into Alva. We're going to have to convince people they're going to have to stay in Alva and shop. You know, you go to Cherokee and buy your whatever, no wonder they have good streets. You're taking your tax dollars elsewhere. We've got to keep our tax dollars in Alva. And to do that, we're going to have to bring in some more industry, some more businesses. We've got to bring in, you know, I could stand here and talk a long time about different companies that we need to bring in, different areas that we could work on, from restaurants to you name it. We could, you know, we need that. We need that car show every year. That car show brings in a tremendous amount of business for the city of Alva.
You know, I talked about the fact that we've got to continue to improve our infrastructure. The thing about it is we have to have that groundwork laid if we're going to do anything like what we're suggesting and talking about. You know, we want to bring in a rodeo. Well, what does it show about the city of Alva if these people come in and the streets are in disrepair? When they go to get water, they can't get water because we have issues out at the water tanks. We've got to get in a situation that we can maintain those facilities, that infrastructure that's in the city currently. And right now we're having a difficult time doing that. You know, we've discussed the fact that we've seen decreased revenues. Well, coming with those decreased revenues means finding ways to turn the budget, finding ways that we can get to the point where we're operating in the black again and can continue to maintain. We've been putting Band-Aids on things for so long, wasting so much of taxpayers' money, and that's got to stop. And that means fixing it today.
Well, I work part-time in Cherokee, as we've got an office down there, and I can tell you, when I go, I mean, I can see a doctor down there, and when I go by the Integris Clinic and the Cherokee Clinic, it's full of people from Alva, and so they're there to see their doctors. And Integris has been locked out of Alva. You know, that's a simple fix there. You're running tax dollars out by keeping some of these healthcare providers out. I've had a lot of people, you know, tell me about they have to go all the way to Oklahoma City or Enid to see their specialists that could be coming here. And those specialists have talked to them about, you know, their ability to come here if Integris was here. And I just think, you know, if somebody wants to conduct business on their property, you know, whether they want to lease it to a healthcare facility or something out, it's wrong to keep that business from contracting with somebody else. It's your property, you should be able to do what you want to with, I think.
Well, I think from a most practical standpoint, the biggest thing I'd like to see changed is we know
kind of how much we spend every month. I mean, there's a budget as far as this amount of money is allotted to this service and this amount of money is allotted to these departments. But we don't always get to see what we get out of it, how far that money seems to go. I mean, we may allot so many dollars to street repair, but we don't really get to see, other than the visual, we don't actually have a metric to see what kind of return we get for the amount of money that we put into it. So that would be one really quick way to see, okay, we get this much out of what we're putting in. Is it going to save us money to do it a different way, or are we already getting a good return on the money that we're putting into it? And right now, there just really isn't a clear way on how that money is spent and what you're getting back from it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your participation, and this meeting is adjourned.